Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I've been sitting on this for a while, trying to process everything that's happened. But I feel like I need to get it off my chest and see if I'm just being selfish or if what happened was actually as messed up as I think it was. I'm hoping Reddit can help me see if I've truly done something wrong or if I'm just caught in a situation I can't escape. Here's the full story. I come from a wealthy family. My grandparents, on my dad's side, are well off. Let's just say money has never been an issue. But with that comes a certain set of expectations. Growing up, I was always aware that my grandparents had high hopes for their grandchildren, particularly when it came to education. There was never a question in my mind that I would go to college. It was expected, and frankly, I was lucky enough to know that I wouldn't have to worry about the financial burden that comes with tuition. When I was in high school, my father told me that my grandparents had made a promise to cover my college tuition. I was over the moon. It took a lot of stress off my shoulders, and I could focus on what I wanted to study rather than worrying about how I was going to pay for it. To be honest, I thought my future was pretty secure. The idea that my grandparents were willing to help out. Now, let me talk about my sister and stepsister. My sister is my full sibling, and we've always had a pretty normal relationship. She's 2 years older than me and went to college before I did, so she was the first one to receive financial support from my grandparents. My stepsister is the daughter of my stepmother and her first husband. I lost my mother when I was only 5 years old, and my father remarried to my stepmother later on. I've always referred to her as my stepsister, since she isn't related to me by blood, but she's been in my life for many years. Her mother, my stepmother, married my dad when I was around 10, and my stepsister, who is a few years older than me, moved in with us shortly after. While we never had a super close relationship growing up, we were living under the same roof for many years. Her father, my stepmother's ex-husband, wasn't a big part of the picture. I've seen him once through all the time. From what I know, he wasn't involved in her life much growing up. I didn't know the full details of their divorce, but she mostly lived with her mother after that. My stepsister had never really been interested in school. She dropped out of college after only a year, claiming that she was going to focus on her own business. She'd always been entrepreneurial, and my father and stepmother were quick to support her decision, even though they knew she hadn't really succeeded in her other business attempts in the past. So after she dropped out of college, she convinced my father and stepmother to take her college fund and invest it into her new business venture. They told me that this was a family decision, and that they wanted to give her the support she needed to make something of herself. The more I thought about it, the more it bothered me. My grandparents had always stressed how important education was, how much they valued the idea of us getting degrees and becoming well-rounded individuals. But my father and stepmother had essentially repurposed my stepsister's college fund for her business. I didn't say anything at the time, mostly because I was still confident that my own tuition was safe. After all, I had been promised it would be covered. I told myself it wasn't worth rocking the boat. I was in my third year of college. I had been working hard, keeping my grades up. But then, about a month ago, my father and stepmother sat me down for what I thought was just a routine conversation. Instead, they told me that they had used up the remainder of the college funds they had set aside for me, money that was supposed to cover my last 2 years. I was in shock. Apparently, my stepsister's business had failed. She had invested a lot of money into it, and it didn't work out. So my parents told me that since she was applying to go back to college, they needed to help her out again. My stepsister needed money to cover her tuition and expenses, and they had decided to reallocate the funds that had originally been set aside for my education. So basically, according to them, it was fair I share it with her. I remember sitting there, unable to comprehend what they were saying. I tried to keep my emotions in check, but inside, I was furious. Not only had they taken my remaining college funds, but they had given them to my stepsister, who had made a decision to leave school in the first place. And now, because her business failed, they expected me to help her out. They told me I'd have to take out student loans for the last 2 years of school. I felt like they had been taking a piss. All my hard work, all my planning, was suddenly thrown out the window because my stepsister decided to play businesswoman. It didn't make sense. They had already given her a second chance at school. Why is it now my responsibility to finance her failure? I asked them why they hadn't warned me about this sooner, and their response was that they didn't want to burden me and thought it would all work out. Apparently, my family had decided that my education was secondary to helping my sister get back on track. I was beyond angry at this point. I felt betrayed, not just by my father, but by the entire situation. I had been following all the rules, doing what was expected of me, and I had no say in how the money was used. I spent the next few days trying to wrap my head around everything. I couldn't just let it go. So I called my grandparents. My grandparents had made a promise to help fund my education. They had made it clear that they wanted me to have the opportunity to go to college without worrying about money. My father had promised me the same thing. He promised that I would have the funds I needed to finish my education. So when I found out that my remaining funds were being given to my stepsister, I couldn't just stay silent. I called my grandparents, explained everything, and told them about the conversation I had with my father and stepmother. I told them that I would now have to take out loans to finish my degree because the money they had set aside for me had been redirected to my stepsister. I tried to remain calm, but I felt so hurt. The conversation didn't go well. My grandparents were absolutely furious. They couldn't believe what my father and stepmother had done. They had trusted them with the money, and they felt completely blindsided. After hearing everything, my grandparents decided to cut my parents off financially. They told me that they were no longer going to be supporting them and that they would not give them any further assistance. Also, they said they will have to look into their will again. The truth is, my grandparents have always been the backbone of our family. They've always been the ones we've turned to for support, and they've always been very generous. But they felt that my father and stepmother had broken their trust, and they couldn't support what they had done. But then my grandparents called my father and informed him that he needs to give them back all the money he owes me. Apparently, they gave him and my stepmother the deposit for the house we're living in. Also, they've been giving them money here and there for luxury goods. So they say they are cutting all that off as well, and not to expect a penny from them in the future. They also told him that they will be rewriting their will. That made my father furious. He called me shouting, accusing me of ruining his life and betraying him and our family. He said I should have kept things in the family and not involved my grandparents. My stepmother, in particular, went off on me. She told me I was selfish and ungrateful, and that I should have trusted them. They had sacrificed so much for me, and this was how I repaid them. She even said that my poor stepsister was always rejected and not loved, and I just made things worse. But the worst part came when they told me they wouldn't attend my graduation. They said that they couldn't celebrate my accomplishments while my stepsister was struggling. They said that I didn't value family and that I should be there for my sister, not focusing on my own success. My dad said that if I couldn't put my family first, then they couldn't support me. They wouldn't be at my graduation. They wouldn't be there to see me walk across the stage, even though I had worked so hard for it. Now I'm crushed. Of course, my graduation is not soon. Maybe they will still change their mind. But their threats are hurtful. At first, I tried to plead with them. I tried to explain that this wasn't about choosing one sibling over the other, but they weren't hearing it. All they could focus on was how I didn't understand the family dynamic. They made it clear they weren't going to support me, and it felt like a slap in the face. Now I'm questioning. Maybe I really should have kept it in the family. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole for telling my grandparents what happened and causing my parents to be cut off? Absolutely not the a-hole. This situation is so messed up. OP's grandparents promised to support OP through her education, and OP's parents decided to completely disregard that for their own selfish reasons. I can't even imagine how hurtful it must be to have your college funds taken away because of OP's stepsister's failed business venture. The fact that OP's parents are making OP feel guilty for involving her grandparents and then threatening not to show up for OP's graduation is outrageous. They chose their priorities, and OP wasn't one of them. OP did the right thing by being honest with her grandparents. OP's parents' actions are entirely on them, not OP. OP is just standing up for herself, and they're trying to manipulate her into taking responsibility for their failures. Also, OP's grandparents had a right to know where their money went. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Wow, not the a-hole, not at all. I'm honestly floored by how entitled your parents are. The fact that they expected you to just accept your stepsister's failed business and take out loans for your own education is baffling. They had a responsibility to you, but they threw that out the window. It's honestly disgusting how your dad and stepmom are treating you. And now they're playing the family card to manipulate you into feeling guilty for standing up for yourself? And the audacity to not attend your graduation. That's the final straw. If they can't celebrate your success because of their inability to prioritize properly, then that's a reflection of their poor values, not yours. You didn't cause this situation. They did. If they're not willing to be there for your accomplishments, then maybe it's time to question how much they truly value you. Not the a-hole at all. Your parents' behavior is beyond toxic. They've essentially robbed you of your future and are now turning it all around on you like it's your fault. What kind of family prioritizes someone else's failure over the education and hard work of their own child? And then to add insult to injury, they're trying to make you feel guilty for involving your grandparents, who had every right to know what was going on. Your grandparents were looking out for you, and your parents acted out of selfishness and favoritism. It's their fault, not yours. They don't get to turn around and play the victim, especially by saying they won't attend your graduation. They're punishing you for standing up for your future. I would take this as a blessing in disguise, honestly. Their actions have made it clear where their priorities lie, and it's not with you. Not the a-hole. You absolutely did the right thing by telling your grandparents. Your parents decided to prioritize your stepsister's failed business over your education. And then when that backfired, they put the blame on you. You were right to go to your grandparents, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who promised to help you, not your parents. I don't understand how your parents can be so quick to throw you under the bus to save face. The fact that they're threatening to skip your graduation is so childish and manipulative. It's almost like they're punishing you for doing the right thing. You didn't make your grandparents cut them off. They did that to themselves by mismanaging their responsibilities. You don't need people like that around you anyway. They should be proud of you, not playing games with your future. This involves me, 33 female, and my half-sister, 32 female. We share a father with different mothers. Our dad was married to my mom and expecting me when he got her mom pregnant. My mom found out and kicked him to the curb, and things were always incredibly awkward. My mom chose to stay single. Dad and my half-sister's mom got married. For a long time, my half-sister and I fought like cats and dogs. She was always up my butt about how her mom was so awesome, and I should choose her over my mom. That my mom was the reason we weren't a real family. I resented her for saying that when her mom was the other woman between my parents. I also resented her because my dad expected me to be way more mature than her, despite our barely 1-year age gap. So we weren't great to each other. Over time, the resentment for me shifted from what our dad and her mom did, and more about how she would act like my mom had no right to be in my life. She never really grew out of seeing my mom as someone who shouldn't have been there. We both married young and both struggled to have children. Last year, my mom gave me some money to go after more intensive fertility treatments, and it worked, and I'm expecting a child with my husband. My half-sister has still been unsuccessful, and we got into a fight recently where she said my mom should be giving her money too, since we're sisters, and she's never tried to welcome her into the family. I was enraged hearing that. For years, she has made it seem like my mom should just go away and leave me to be raised by her mom, and then she says mom should have given her money. I told her she was an entitled brat if she thought that, because my mom owed her nothing after the way she has spoken about her for most of her life. I told her to go ask her mommy for money, since she's so great, and leave mine alone. She started to argue, and I told her mom should do it since she's just the best ever, and if she wants a grandchild, this is her chance. She got so upset. Our dad couldn't believe I was so unsupportive of her. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Why in the world would someone pay for their ex's child with someone else to get IVF? Part of me wonders if she feels like my mom owes her for staying in my life instead of handing me off to her mom to raise. What? Your sister sounds nuts. All sorts of entitlement. She sounds obsessed with your mom. All that chatter about my mom is better than your mom might be defensive. Who is she trying to convince, you or her? You're not the a-hole. Tell her to kick sand. She doesn't get to trash your mom all her life and then come running with her hand out when she wants cash. Sister is a major a-hole. Not the a-hole. What the duck is wrong with your dad and your half-sister? I mean, I already know because it's obvious, but it still begs the question to be asked. This home-wrecking, family-breaking, sorry excuse of a father, husband, has the unmitigated gall to accuse you of being unsupportive of your half-sister's blatant entitlement to your mother, his ex's money. And your half-sister has the actual gall to say the most cruel, hateful things about your mother to your face for years, and then gets offended that the woman she's hated all this time refuses to give her, the one who basically hates her even existing, money for IVF. What the hell kind of upside-down, inside-out, warped reality do your half-sister and dad think this is anyway? OP, it's time you cut the both of them out of your life. From your post, it doesn't even sound like your dad has expressed one bit of remorse for destroying the family, for destroying you and your mom, and it doesn't sound like he'll ever be remorseful either. Your half-sister should have been cut off contact-wise right when she started making such cruel remarks about your mom, OP. Her personality, beliefs, and behavior are nothing short of repugnant, appalling, abhorrent, and just plain despicable. Do the right thing for your mom and for yourself, OP, and tell both your half-sister and dad to go straight where they belong after what they've done. I, 24 female, have a friend, 26, who has always been avidly child-free. I've known her for 12 years and she's always hated kids and talked crap about babies. I personally don't mind that she's like this, although it is annoying when she goes on rants about how ugly people's babies are, and I've known her to call toddlers a-holes. I know this sounds unbelievable, trust me. I feel like I'm not in real life. She texted all of our friends last week to say that she's having a very important dinner and she needs everyone to come. This is 15 plus people. In a smaller group chat, she told me and 3 other girls that she is expecting a new arrival and she wants to announce it at the party. We were all super shocked, but very happy for her. She was very evasive with questions, but I honestly assumed she was feeling weird about being pregnant, admitting she had decided to have a child after all, and I brushed it off. So we all get to this dinner party at a local restaurant. She stands up to make a speech, saying, "As well as I can remember, I'm really excited to announce that we are expecting not 1, but 3 new arrivals." Everyone was shook, until she handed out the ultrasounds, and they looked nothing like babies. We all looked at her confused when she said Princess, her cat, has been a naughty little girl and is blessing us with 3 little ones. I'm sure you're all super excited to meet the babies, and there will be a naming party when they're here. I think the last part was a joke, but needless to say, most of us were quite pissed she did this. 2 of the women there have been very vocal about having fertility issues. I am also pregnant, and so are 2 other girls there. I feel like this whole thing was set up to belittle the fact that most of the people in the group, ranging from my age to mid-30s, are settling down and having kids. One of the women with fertility issues actually left upset soon after, and the other one just after her. I called a cab after I'd eaten my meal and left early. I immediately blocked her on everything because I'm sick of her being so anti-kid, especially when she was addressing multiple people who are pregnant and struggling to conceive. I sent a message in the smaller group chat saying that what she did was insensitive and disgusting, and she responded saying it was a joke and I should lighten up. And I obviously don't know her very well considering she has been vocal about not wanting to meet my baby. I heard from a friend who stayed that she ended the party with a toast to still hating human spawn. I'm not sure if I'm overreacting because of the baby, or if this was genuinely terrible. Am I the a-hole? She's a mega a-hole for not spaying her cat, on top of everything else. You're not the a-hole. Even if we overlook that part, being so secretive and rubbing it in people's faces is just weird as hell. I might get, "Oh, well, Kitty got pregnant and I'm child-free, so might as well throw a cute party." I don't get the smirking and the evasiveness, or the joke. Inviting people who have fertility issues and springing this on them seems to be in poor taste. And she ended the party with still hating human spawn. That's just gross at that point. If you want to be child-free, good for you. Want to throw a baby shower for your cat? It's your time and money. Using that as an opportunity to belittle your friend's life choices. What the duck? I think she feels a bit left behind, if that makes sense. Everyone there was my age and older, so a lot of us have kids, are married, have houses and jobs, etc. Not that this makes you any better than someone else, but I know it makes her feel a bit sad. And she doesn't have any of these things. She has expressed a few times in jokes that she's the one who isn't a slave to marriage, etc. but I think it's just to hide insecurity. My sister, Julie, 42, was married to Jeff, 48, for 10 years. They have a daughter, 12 female, that was the result of multiple rounds of fertility treatments and stress. My sister definitely had difficulties of her own, but I always had a sense that the problem was partly Jeff, even though they never acknowledged it, and it was always we. They divorced 4 years ago, in part because Jeff wanted another kid, and Julie was over it because he wasn't pulling his weight with the kid they already had, and she didn't want to do more fertility treatments. Jeff initiated the divorce, but Julie wasn't too broken up about it, and frankly, I wasn't either. I found Jeff to be controlling, narcissistic, unsupportive, even emotionally manipulative partner. He was also having an affair. Julie married this guy Mike, who is a great guy and a fantastic stepdad to their daughter. She got pregnant at 40 while they were engaged. Whoops. And she's now pregnant again at 42. Mike is a stay-at-home parent, and their marriage is a lot healthier, which is part of the reason why Julie was open to more kids. Meanwhile, Jeff and his 28-year-old former affair partner turned wife still don't have any kids. I don't know if they're privately doing their 90th round of IVF or on adoption wait lists or have given up, but he's visibly bitter about 42-year-old Julie having kids, so make of that what you will. Anyone with vague knowledge of history can probably see where this is going. We were at a party for their daughter at my parents' house, and I was talking to Mike's sister. She said something about Jeff's wife not being there and implied they might not last much longer since they always seem to be having problems. I said something like, "Oh, you know how it goes. Divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived." Unfortunately, Jeff came around the corner and had overheard us. He was pissed and got up in my face about it and called me an a-hole. He clearly understood the reference, but still accused me of threatening his wife and joking about violence against her. He also took it as a jab about his apparent infertility, which, to be fair, it was. My sister de-escalated and Jeff left. After I told her what I'd said, and she said I shouldn't have started crap with him, even if I wasn't trying to be overheard. I told her that Mike's sister's comment was just as bad, and Jeff only got mad at me because I'm a dude he actually knows, and my sister said to just stop being an a-hole because it was literally a below-the-belt remark, and I shouldn't joke about something Jeff took so personally. She blamed me for ruining her daughter's party, and I felt really guilty at that. Unlike my sister, my parents at least thought it was a good joke, but agreed it was my fault and want me to apologize to Jeff to keep the peace. Mike's sister said Mike is mad at her too for starting it and laughing at my joke. I mean, yes, the a-hole, but ducking hilarious. Soft, yes, the a-hole. You should keep the peace for your sister's sake. You don't really know anything about her relationship with Jeff or Jeff's relationship with his current wife. Stay out of it. And making fun of someone's fertility issues is a little uncool. I also feel bad for your poor niece. It's a solid joke, though. Yes, the a-hole, and you know it. Ex-partners coming together for a party like this is hard enough. No need to make it worse. The joke is hilarious, though. I am 36 and pregnant with my second baby. My brother's wife is 40, and she and my brother have been trying to use in vitro fertilization for I think 6 years now. I am a nutritionist professionally, and I use an Instagram where I post recipes and workouts. My brother told me the first time I was pregnant that I shouldn't post things related to pregnancy because it would hurt his wife's feelings. I told him she does not have to follow my Instagram. The problem as I see it is my brother's wife is very, very unhealthy. She is maybe 100 pounds overweight. She does not exercise and refuses to eat fruits and vegetables, except for peeled cucumbers and potatoes with a lot of butter or fried. She is also vegetarian and does not eat protein from anywhere, except like cheese and milk and scrambled eggs. She says she is allergic to almost all fruits and vegetables, and in all of my career, I have never met someone who is allergic to every nutritious fruit and vegetable. When I try to get her to taste a new fruit or vegetable, or twice I have hid fruit or vegetables in my cooking and told her after that she ate them and is not being allergic, she gets so upset and even cries that I am picking on her. I have even made for her a diet plan that has very minimal food that she does not like, and she will not try. If you are very overweight with a poor diet, it is harder to get pregnant and to then keep the pregnancy. She even has one friend my age and in good physical shape who offered to carry her pregnancy for her, and she said no. She wants to have the experience of pregnancy for herself. 2 days ago, my brother called because his wife was crying that I've posted on Instagram pictures of my toddler hugging my big belly, and she was very upset because they might not have even one baby. I spoke to her. At first, I tried to be kind and very patient, but then she said I was showing off my fertility, and it was like I'm slapping her across the face. I told her she doesn't have to look at my Instagram, and that I have for years offered to help her with her diet and exercise together, and that a big reason she cannot get pregnant is because she mistreats her body and does not care enough to make the changes that would give her a baby. She said I have no heart, and that I am making fun of her pain. I hung up on her because I will not waste my time to be insulted, and have not answered a call from my brother. I do not feel like making an apology for telling the truth, but my husband and mother say it doesn't matter, and I need to be the big person. I think she needs to make the apology. Am I an a-hole? Edit. She showed me her allergy panel. She took it because I told her she needed to do it for her own safety when my brother and her lived with me, because I do all the cooking. She is not allergic to the food she says she is allergic to. The foods I gave her were dishes she ate on accident at a party, with supposable allergens that she did not react to. I did not know she ate them until the next day when my brother told me how much she enjoyed my cheese pasta. That was squash, not cheese, and a cake with apple juice in it. I made these again later and she ate them again with no problems. I have suggested 2 RDNs. She will not see them because she does not think her diet is a problem. She does not have Crohn's or any chronic gastrointestinal ailments. Her own diet leaves her extremely constipated very often because she eats very little fiber and does not drink enough water. I know this because we sometimes have lived together. She has actually broken my toilet. Everyone sucks here. It's bizarre that she thinks you need to tailor your own social media page to suit her, and that you are not allowed to post about your life, as it might upset her. That's just ridiculous. But it also sounds like you are offering unsolicited advice, and that isn't cool either, especially when you hide various fruits and vegetables in your meals you prepare for her after she told you that she was allergic to them, to show her that she is really not. Why on earth would you do that? It is not for you to determine whether or not her allergies are real. If she says she's allergic to something, then that's the end of the story, regardless of whether or not you believe her. You are both overstepping all over the place, and you both need to stay in your own lanes. Everyone sucks here. She's an a-hole for expecting you to cater your social media to her. You're an a-hole for constantly trying to doctor her and give her weight loss plans when she didn't ask you to. You're assuming her infertility is due to her weight, and while that very well may be a part of it, it's likely not the whole story. Live your truth on social media and stop offering unsolicited health advice. If you're going to apologize for constantly minimalizing something as complex as fertility issues and blaming it on her weight. Everyone involved needs to mind their own business, in my opinion. Yes, the a-hole. You may be a nutritionist, but you are not her nutritionist. Stop pushing nutrition plans on her and trying to trick her into eating certain foods. Unless she specifically asks for your help, it is not okay to give her unsolicited advice. You are also not her doctor, so stop assuming you know what foods she may be intolerant to. Surely as a nutritionist, you know that people can be sensitive to certain foods without a full-blown allergic reaction, and that you know how to cure her fertility problems. Post whatever you want on social media, but I'd imagine that her sensitivity has a lot to do with the fact that you have been condescending to her for years. Stop judging her. Definitely stop tampering with her food.